Yeah, speaking of hungry,
Our mouth is full.
people were hungry to hear from Chris Rock last night in Boston. We hadn't heard from Chris Rock since Sunday's Oscars. They confiscated all phones at the door, except for the one from Variety magazine, who snuck in a phone and got audio. This is what Chris Rock had to say. The audio's not great. We had to subtitle it. Take a look and a listen.
How was your weekend? I don't have like a bunch of about what happened. So if you came to hear that, I had like a whole show I wrote before this weekend. And I'm still kind of processing what happened. So at some point I'll talk about that. And it'll be serious, it'll be fun.
So he had 2-minute long standing ovations. He's saying, I'm still processing. Don't have any jokes ready. But when I do, it's going to be serious and funny. Do you think it's a cop-out? Are you surprised? We're going to ask Jean Paul.
Yeah, I'll give my take in a bit here. Jean Paul, breakfast television correspondent, and he's
comedian.
been in the comedy game for over 20 years, has been kind enough to join us. We were all, Jean Paul, whether you're into comedy or not, we were all waiting on that last night. Your reaction was what?
My reaction is I'm not surprised. And the reason I'm not surprised is because Chris Rock is one of my all-time favorite comedians for a reason. Because he is literally the Bret Hart of comedy. Like, he is such a word technician. He's not one of those kind of fly-by-the-cuff kind of guys who, is like, hey, nice hat, what are you wearing? He is all about word economy, and he is all about substance. And if you know his process is very particular. So I remember one night kind of following where he was going, and he hit like 4 different clubs to do one particular bit that he was working on. And in each of those clubs, he changed the wording just ever so slightly till he got it perfectly. Mm-hmm. So I'm not surprised at all, but it's going to get funnier and funnier, and there's no way he's not working on it. So while Boston might not have gotten something, by the time 10 shows later or 15 shows later, by the time he hits Albuquerque, it's going to be a killer bit, and everyone's going to hear about it.
That's so insightful, taking us into the process, being a comedian yourself, and saying, just like actors, some go into method acting. Everyone has their own way of doing things, and he's a fine-tuner. That being said, I think, JP, he is going to be saving this for like a major cash-in, like a Netflix special. I feel like he's not going to just let it go in the comedy act world where we hear stuff like that leaked the next morning.
Because also what might happen too is by the time it's a killer bit for a Netflix special, it might get watered down and people are like, we're so tired of that. So I think if he stretches it along, the less that he does about it, when it does hit, it's still going to feel like it's fresh for the audience, you know what I mean, as opposed to just something. And the only reason we want to hear about it is because we all witnessed it, as opposed to hearing about something in a comedy. But he's like, oh, I never knew that happened. But the entire world saw it. So the entire world is waiting to hear his view and how he, went with it. And maybe, he might just be doing some PR and trying to, keep himself out of more trouble. You know what I mean?
Well, JP, one final thing before we let you go here. The one thing I can't let go in terms of how careful he was last night is it's not like he's in front of some random fan base. These are his people. Okay, these are Chris Rock fans. These are most of them had tickets before this happened Sunday. And I know the ones that didn't had to pay like 8 times more to get in. Do you not think he owed at least his fan base something, considering this is right now one of the top 5 most talked about incidents in entertainment history?
I don't think he owed them anything at the moment. And plus, like everybody keeps reminding everybody is, hey, Will Smith is human and Jada Pinkett Smith is human. And people keep forgetting that Chris Rock is also human. Yeah. And as he says, he's still processing this. You know what I mean? And and Will Smith has apologized to everybody publicly, but he still hasn't reached out to the man that he actually assaulted on stage. You know what I mean? He hasn't sent a text. He hasn't made a phone call. So, who knows what's going through Chris Rock's head? And maybe he's just trying to focus right now on getting through this his tour, like the beginning of his tour. I'm sure he'll get to it. There's no
sure.
way he won't.
Yeah.
But I don't think he owed Boston anything.
John
And I
Paul-
hate Boston for beating the Leafs every year. in the
Boston!
playoffs. So take that, Boston.
There he goes. John Paul, where do we find more info? We love talking to you. We'll be doing it some more for sure. Where do we get more
Always
info?
just check me out on IG. IG is the best place to check me out, just because you can always get up to date minute. And I had a blast. I if you guys ever do go to that Nerf thing, I would
Nerf
love
Challenge
to.
in
Yeah,
Mississauga?
you were there yesterday at Square One, man.
What's your
would
IG
be
handle?
epic.
What's your IG handle?
Jean Paul Comedy.
There it is.
Or as my mom calls me, Jean Paul. So.
Shout out to your
Well,
mom.
Gene, listen, the insight was great, man. You took us down some roads. If you're not in the comedy world, man, this was insightful. We
So
appreciate
good.
you, man. Have a
Thanks,
good day.
JP.
Oh,
Thank you.
thank you, man. And happy belated birthday again, Sid.
Whatever, a day later, it's just the same.
I
Thank
feel like you could do.
appreciate it.
You two could do a little
Just
Saturday
scratch me-
party
just
at the Nerf
Scratch me off
Challenge.
the list. Just scratch me off the list. There, yeah.
Speaking of
One of those.
birthdays, coming up next. Thanks for that segue. We're celebrating you.